Welcome back to Hot Movies. Today I will be explaining a movie named Career Opportunities. The film opens with a girl who is a little defiant and being called by her father and is told to come and greet his friends, but she merely pulled off her jacket, her hot appearance with a kiss. The fat guy next to her was apparently incredibly eager for the anticipated kiss, but the girl simply reached out his hand, leaving the fat guy a little dejected. The girl then abruptly left, and besides the father, the other two received a great lot at the moment. Josie was the girl's name, and she was purposefully insulting his father since she didn't get along with her family. Josie chose to run away from home, after yet another heated argument with her father about this issue. She would have had the money to buy groceries, but she chose to go to the grocery on her own. She pulls on the underwear from the shelf and stuffs her clothes with small things she finds appealing. She then purposefully delayed until the supermarket was closed and planned to spend the night there. It appeared to be a typical adventure game unless she met Jim, a man who crushed her so seriously. Jim was the most unpleasant night janitor in the supermarket, who was confined inside by the boss to accomplish his assigned tasks on time. Because the supermarket won't open again till 6 a.m. the next day, Jim decided to make the most of the opportunity and enjoy himself and the amusement of being alone within the supermarket with almost everything he wanted, and for that he became unruly and untamed, but he didn't expect to see a woman inside the supermarket. Jim's brain was suddenly empty when he met this beauty, Josie. He can't take his gaze away from her and run straight into the shelves. Since Josie's father was a prominent local businessman, and she was the daughter of a wealthy family, Josie was not only gorgeous, but also the local guy's desire. Jim was perplexed as to why Josie was still around after the grocery had been closed for 5 hours. Josie revealed Jim of her family for the first time. In the changing room, her mother died early, and her father was a savage and a dictator. Josie had never been happy within her wealthy family. Jim was a tremendous example of enthusiasm, and he thought that happiness is all around us, people just don't have the eyes to see it. And afterwards Jim took Josie with him, utilized the supermarket as a restaurant, and they had a joyful night that was only and just there for this moment. She was the dream woman of the guys in town, because she was a charming girl from a wealthy family, with long black hair, juicy red lips, and soulful eyes. Jim and Josie utilized the grocery store as a diner to offer her a taste of unfettered pleasure. They went shopping for sets of brand new untouched plates, pulled the recently heated chicken fillets out of the microwave, sat on the price tag tables and chairs, and thus a homemade restaurant was born. Jim, who has always been outspoken from childhood, did not hide his affections for Josie. She admired the Jim's honesty. She was testing her own opinions of many things with every moment she stayed with him. However, Jim had a rough past as well. As a result of his family's low circumstances, he had been mistreated ever since he was a child. He did not have a good job after he grew up. Others believe that Jim was a loser, although these two had nothing in common. They had intense emotions in barely 2 hours together. Although Josie was in a pleasant mood, so she danced openly to the music and perhaps even asked Jim if he wanted to take her back home to meet with his parents. Then she exits through the radio room, and a dream comes true for him seemingly out of nowhere. Jim was taken aback by the unexpected realization of a dream come true. After all, they came from completely different worlds. Josie's with a wealthy father, and all she desired, she could even live a carefree life wherever she went. While Jim's life was devoid of anything. Jim knew this gorgeous girl was too nice for him, however he was touched at the moment. Josie surprised him with handing him complete $52,000 in cash. Jim has never seen so much money in his life, because he was born into a poor family. Despite all kind of temptations, Jim was ultimately persuaded by Josie, and he agreed to take her out of town at dawn. They walked onto the dance floor with each other to the sweet sound of music. Josie also told Jim that she wanted to honor him in her own unique way. What would it feel like to spend a whole night along with such a girl? What kind of experience would this be? With Jim's support, Josie, who had always had a sad face, felt so happy for the very first time in her life. They skated through the huge supermarket, but just when they were holding hands and having fun, suddenly 2 gunmen showed up in front of them. They didn't have time to brake before smashing into them. The 2 goons fell hard as the shelves collapsed. Jim and Josie share a look before fleeing as quickly as they can. They huddled under the bench inside the restroom after cutting off the supermarket's electricity. Soon after, the goons approached, extending their necks to peer inside. They were too terrified to breathe. and Jim waited until the burglars had fled before daring to remove the nearly trampled hand. The two people came out silently, thinking they had fled, but the goons still discovered them. Jim seemed to have an idea, and using his exceptional deception talents, he claimed to be in the process of a $60 million illegal scheme. Josie, the girl next to him, was a captive for him to pass through customs, and someone would arrive to the agreement in 5 minutes. The two goons didn't believe that and threatened to kill Josie because she was no longer useful to them. When Jim realized Josie was in trouble, he climbed up and pretended to call the police, using the radio as a walkie-talkie. The two goons were probably not very intelligent, and they were terrified of taking Josie as a hostage, and were constantly on the lookout for her. With Jim's creative trickery, the criminals truly believed that aid was on the way, and downed their guns promptly. Jim quickly stepped behind Josie to protect her, and took up the firearm on the ground. The two criminals were taken aback by Jim, but right when Jim was enjoying Josie's companionship, the gangsters' remarks came as a surprise, and their smiles stopped at the ends of their mouths. Jim returns the gun to the miscreants and tries to appease them by asking if they want some hot munchies. But, after all, Jim is just Jim, a simple, ordinary guy. The two criminals decided to take this hot-looking girl with them after watching Josie's rocking horse act. Then they immediately ransacked the supermarket, stealing everything expensive. This aesthetic plan was too much for Jim to handle. He recognized Josie's plan the instant he saw her eyes. She was seeking for an opportunity to flee. Without Jim's intervention, the criminals became unstoppable, and they transported all the looted stuff to the car. Josie discovered a way into the car. She pushed on the accelerator pedal, and the car vanished into the night as Jim was assembling guns for the fight. Jim is no more unarmed this time. The miscreants were now bewildered as they faced the black barrel of a gun. As promised, Josie came in front of the supermarket after Jim found a solution with the criminals. By the time the authorities got at the supermarket following public reports, they only saw the two crooks being tied up. And by this time, Josie and Jim already have left town, ready to begin a new life together. Okay, that's all for now. If you want to see more movie recaps, then like us and subscribe to our channel. See you again soon.